Am I the asshole for having a bowel movement when we had company over? Am I the asshole for telling my stepdaughter to stop using period products? Am I the asshole for exposing my coworker's bathroom habits? I asked if this was the first time he realized I defecated. Okay, maybe don't twist it that much. You could get shit-faced by drinking every time OP says, makes my sons uncomfortable. If everyone just said like a damn normal human being, none of this would even be a thing. Who's rubbing the actual crack on a toilet seat? Am I gonna get cancelled after this video? Downvoted 1900 times.
Hi, this is Drawing and Judging, and today's topic is toilet justice. Let's talk some literal shit while I draw a random portrait study. Don't worry, nothing particularly gross in this episode, just classic human conflict, but toilet themed this time. However, if you are particularly sensitive, maybe don't snack during this one. Alright, let's take a deep dive. Am I the asshole for having a bowel movement when we had company over? Hi everybody, I hope someone can give me perspective here. I'm a 24-year-old woman and my boyfriend is a 25-year-old man. For the purposes of this post, I'll call my boyfriend Jake. Jake had a guest over yesterday in the afternoon, Max, and they were playing video games and having snacks in the living room. When Max started setting up his Switch, Jake took a quick trip to the corner shop to get drinks and snacks. I went out to greet him and ask how things were. We talked a bit because we know each other pretty well now. Around the time that Max was done putting the codes in the right places, Jake was back and ready to hang out. Not wanting to be bothered, I just relaxed on the armchair playing with my phone. During their play session, I started to feel a bowel movement coming. As I typically do in such a situation, I headed to the bathroom. I did my business, washed my hands, and when I left they were both looking at me weirdly. I thought nothing of it, so I messed around on my phone on our armchair while I kept playing. Max abruptly said he had something to do, gathered his things and left. When he left, he and Jake were talking in front of our apartment for a few minutes. This was strange to me, as Max implied he was in a hurry when he left. After my boyfriend sat back down, he asked if I was feeling unwell, or if I might have eaten something that didn't agree with me. I said I felt fine, and he sort of sighed and asked why I had to go number 2, in the bathroom attached to the living room. This stunned me for a second, because I never expected such a question about my bathroom habits in my own apartment. But Jake kept pressing the issue, and asked why I wouldn't go use the bathroom in the master bedroom. I told him the living room bathroom was the closest. He finally got visibly irritated and told me that he and Max had heard everything I did in there, which made them kind of uncomfortable. This is when I finally got it. He wanted me to be discreet and go poo in a place where it wouldn't inconvenience him. I scoffed at this and told him that in my apartment, where I live, I was going to go to the bathroom wherever I wanted. Well, not wherever, but you get the idea. Then I asked if this was the first time he realized I defected. OP must have meant defecated, but she typed defected. Or if I hurt his sensibilities by excreting as a woman. He said no, but that at least when company was over, he thought I should have some degree of modesty. Then he told me not only did they hear it, but they smelled it faintly after I left the bathroom. I'm completely hurt, but Jake insists that at least when guests are over, I should try to be a bit more modest. I don't think I'm the asshole here, but I can't be sure. Did I really do something wrong? Okay, so I could make a case for OP and her boyfriend, but what I absolutely don't understand is the friend's behavior. Max. Why the fuck did he leave? Imagine that. You're having a playdate with your bestie. There are games, there are snacks, and then you leave because someone pooped? That would make sense if it smelled like death, and the stink wouldn't go away. But based on the post, that wasn't the case. Here's what OP says. Then he told me, that is Jake, the boyfriend. He told me not only did they hear it, but they smelled it faintly after I left the bathroom. So the smell wasn't their main issue. It was more of an afterthought. It sounds like Max is just being unreasonably weird about basic bodily functions. Now, I didn't think there was anything wrong with OP's behavior. That is, until I learned there was a hole in other bathroom. Side note, it's crazy how often Redditors, presumably Americans, have multiple bathrooms in their homes. I'm Russian, and here it's literally not a thing. At least I've never heard of anyone having that luxury. So yeah, OP had options. And she made the choice to poop next to the living room, where two guys could hear and smell everything. Honestly, I'm envious of such a lack of social anxiety, neuroticism, overthinking, and all of that good stuff. Couldn't be me. So, that's low-key iconic. And part of me is like, you go girl. But also, why would you subject other people to smelling your poop if you have another option? That strikes me as a bit inconsiderate. Like, I hate it when someone poops while I'm showering. The bathroom is separate from the toilet, but it has ventilation holes, and you can smell everything. So I'm kinda chilling in the shower, and then, boom, everything is poop. And it's like, do you have to? Couldn't you hold it in for 10 more minutes? But sometimes you just have to do what you have to do. And in the story, the situation would be completely different if they only had one toilet. It sounds like the plan was for Jake and Max to hang out for hours more, and it would be crazy to wait that long. I totally would, but I'm not the epitome of mental sanity. And mildly inconveniencing someone is preferable to earning yourself a constipation. The only reason I'm judging OP is because she had another bathroom available. Now let's talk about Jake. Props to him for at least asking if OP was sick before jumping to the accusations. I also think it was okay for him to express that he felt uncomfortable and maybe ask her to please go to a different bathroom next time. But it all went downhill because he was too judgmental and OP got very defensive very quickly. And at first I thought she was reaching when she brought up being a woman. Invoking the feminism card in a petty argument that's not even gender-related is a bit of a desperate look. But I changed my mind as soon as I saw the word modesty. That's a culturally loaded word that was used for centuries to police women's behavior. So I think OP was onto something with her line of defense. Although the amount of sass was probably still unnecessary. Let me look for the quote. I asked if this was the first time he realized I defecated. Okay, maybe don't twist it that much. So I agree with Reddit's verdict. Everyone sucks. Max sucks for leaving. Jake sucks for his gendered language. The man literally talks about her pooping as if she mooned them or something. And of course OP sucks for being inconsiderate and maybe too defensive. Let's check out the comments. Top comment. Everyone sucks here. I'm a strong supporter of pooping wherever, but I think if you have the option of going in a second private bathroom, as opposed to the ones guests might use, then you should definitely do that in the future. However, Max is also childish for leaving just because he could hear someone doing their business. Another commenter says, 100% agree with this. Everyone sucks here. The guys were mature about this, but regardless of gender, if a more discreet option is available, it's just common courtesy to use it. Common courtesy. Exactly. Except someone objects. This just sounds crazy to me. Isn't it discreet enough to go into the bathroom and close the door? I've never had an issue, ever, with that. It's what bathrooms are for. If she'd left the door open, sure, but she used the bathroom. Not the asshole, 100%. Edit. I just read some of OP's responses. She was clearly being obnoxious about it, and doesn't understand manners, so I changed to everyone sucks here, mostly on her. It wasn't normal bathroom use, so good manners dictate that she would use the other bathroom, to be more discreet. Interesting. Let's look for OP's comments. So it took me a moment to find any, and I don't know, they seem pretty innocent to me. So someone says, a lady never farts, she fluffs. And OP responds, I can prove that a lady does fart, and that I can out-fart just about any man. Give me some pasta and milk and I blow the hinges of a barn door. Downvoted 128 times. Okay, so she's proud of her farting abilities. Okay, but that doesn't mean she had a fart fest on this particular occasion to impress the guest. But some people got mad in this thread. Someone quips, are not like other girls much? Another editor says, I'm a woman and it's time to stop pretending this is some empowerment thing. This is gross AF for any sex. I would never degrade myself by dating a guy who proudly said he could blow the hinges off a barn door with his asshole. I don't know. A bit gross, but doesn't make them undateable unless they're purposely doing it in front of their partner. Keyword purposely. Someone else continues in the same vein. You sound absolutely disgusting. I wonder how your boyfriend is still with you. You all need to touch the grass. The commenters as well as the characters in the story. Am I the asshole for telling my stepdaughter to stop using period products in the bathroom she shares with my teenage sons? I have been living with my new wife and stepdaughter for about 6 months now. She's 19, almost 20, and I have 3 sons aged 18, 16 and 15. She's a really good kid and she's a good influence on my sons. I really enjoy having her around. My wife and her daughter moved into my house and sold theirs. My stepdaughter's father isn't present in her life, nor is my son's mother. All 4 children share a bathroom. My sons have never lived for a long period of time with a woman, nor have any of them had long-term girlfriends. They had short visitation periods when they were younger, but never longer than an hour, so living with 2 women has been unusual for them. My eldest son, 18, came to me last week and told me that his stepsister disposes of her used sanitary products in the trash can they share, but doesn't use toilet rolls or sandwich bags to disguise what they are, and it makes him uncomfortable, which I think is reasonable. My sons are teenage boys and don't want to see their stepsister's period products on full display. A few nights ago, I went into the kitchen to grab a snack, and she was there doing some work for university. My wife had mentioned that she knew she was on her period, so I took it as an opportunity to have a word with her. I told her my sons were uncomfortable, and asked her if she'd mind putting her used products in diaper bags or flushing them down the toilet. She laughed, and told me it was rich coming from a man who sheds like a gorilla and has produced 3 skid-marking sons, which I thought was just an unnecessary attack. I've been nothing but nice to the girl, and it's hardly a comparison. My sons shouldn't be subjected to her unhygienic products if it makes them uncomfortable. She went on to lecture me about how tampons can be flushed, and that it's bad for the environment if she uses diaper bags for everyone, which I think is just an excuse. I called her scruff and told her that this was my house, and that what I say goes. I later asked my wife if she could have a word with her, and she told me I was being ridiculous, and that her daughter has had her period for 10 years and knows what she's doing. When I told her it was making my sons uncomfortable, she said my sons needed to get a grip and turn over and went to sleep. This is a genuine issue to me, and she didn't care enough to have a discussion about it. I asked my stepdaughter again in the morning, and she did the same as her mother, completely dismissed it. Both of them have told me to stop being so silly, but I don't see how I'm being unreasonable when it makes my sons uncomfortable. Am I the asshole? We have a short update, but first, let's discuss. I'll start by saying being grossed out by any kind of bodily excretions is totally normal. We are wired to be disgusted. It helps us survive as a species. Otherwise, we probably would have licked some feces and died hundreds of thousands of years ago, because we are not the smartest. However, we live in a society and share bathrooms. So, inevitably, you are gonna see some shit, literally and figuratively, and you have to be at least okayish with it. Skid marks were mentioned. I think they're completely normal in a toilet, but so is period blood. Being disproportionately disgusted by one thing and not the other smells like misogyny. By the way, it's interesting how we don't have direct quotes from OP's sons, but he keeps saying period products, not period blood. So are they uncomfortable with the mere fact she's on her period, or is it just phrasing by OP? Now, I don't want to be harsh with OP's sons, they're very young after all, But it's on OP to educate them and prepare them for adult life. Otherwise, assuming they are into women, this attitude might cost them later. You're not setting them up for success by treating periods as something embarrassing. Was the girl rude in her response? Yes, but I can't even blame her. Imagine you are 19 and a man in his 40s, 50s, who's not your father, whom you've known for maybe a couple of years at this point. It's not entirely clear from the post, but that's the vibe I'm getting. Decides to micromanage your period. Talk about being uncomfortable. You could get shit-faced by drinking every time OP says, "Makes my sons uncomfortable," but he seemingly has no such qualms about making his stepdaughter uncomfortable. I'm sure he thought he was tactful about it, but it still came off as a personal attack. Probably should have consulted your wife before jumping into this talk. I'm also kinda confused by his suggested solutions. Use a toilet roll as a disguise? You mean a piece of toilet paper? You don't mean the whole roll, do you? Do you? Diaper bags? Here's what I found by googling it. That doesn't help. And flushing tampons down the toilet? By this point, it's clear you're not the sharpest pencil in the box, but can you at least Google it before telling other people what to do? I suppose there could be a way of finding a compromise. For example, she could wrap each tampon in a piece of toilet paper, or you could install another trash can, the kind with a lid that opens when you put your foot on a pedal. But for this to be fair, the boys would also need to make some adjustments. Clean their skid marks, for example, if it's bothering her. To sum up, OP is the asshole and needs to educate his sons. Reddit's verdict is also asshole. But hey, there's a happy ending. Update. Not even 2 hours after I posted this, my wife and stepdaughter gathered my sons and I and gave us a full intensive periods for prex course. PowerPoint and all. It was a hoot. They made an interactive quiz and everything. My sons and I learned a lot and apologized to my stepdaughter. Thank you for your input. I'm happy it ended this way. I wish he shared more details about this presentation, but let's see the comments. Top comment reads, "You are the asshole. Sorry, but what? I'm a guy and realize this is ridiculous. You need to help yourself and your sons become better men and accept that it's a natural process. Are you uncomfortable with your wife's use of the same? I assume not, so teach your sons to be better." Someone else says, "He said in his replies that she wraps the pads/tampons in the packaging before throwing them away, so the sons can't even see any blood, and the garbage bin has a lid." Okay, so I was right to question his phrasing. They're uncomfortable because she has periods, not even because they see any blood. So I found some comments from OP, and they're not good. At least not until the moment his wife and daughter straighten him up. The commenter suggests wrapping the products in toilet paper or getting a separate trash can with a lid, and here's what OP says. Our trash can has a lid, and she wraps them in the wrappers. But my sons still know what they are. Downvoted 1,900 times. Fair. Someone replies, "Jesus Christ, dude, then you're really off the fucking rails here." Agree. This is an unhinged reaction to wrapped tampons. Well, any tampons, but especially wrapped. So, OP is getting absolutely trashed in the comments, and he deserved it. Someone has a malicious compliance suggestion. Also, he asked her to throw them in the toilet. She should 100% do this and then watch when he has to hire a plumber because of the clog. Then shrug and say, "I just threw them in the toilet, like you requested." I love this. But after the trashing and the presentation, OP magically changed his tune. It's like he's a different person. And turns out we have more details about the presentation. Someone says, "I'd like to see the PowerPoint. What were the main slides?" And OP replies began with anatomy and the reasons behind why periods happen, what having a period feels like, the stages of the menstrual cycle, such as PMS and the fertile window, sanitary products, including menstrual cups and such. They're incredible women. The boys absolutely loved it. They found it great. My youngest son won the quiz by a landslide. His prize is a piece of cake. Okay, I just hope it sticks. Am I the asshole for exposing my coworkers' bathroom habits? I, 25 female, work at a small company of about 15 people. I get along with pretty much everyone, with the exception of someone we'll call Alexis, 40 female. Alexis is very socially conservative, and I'm not. I do my best to not talk about things I know will cause an argument, but they sometimes happen anyway. One time, I used the bathroom right after the cleaning crew finished cleaning it, and didn't bother putting the toilet seat down, because I was just going to squat to pee. I washed my hands, and when I exited, I bumped straight into Alexis. I apologized, and went on with my day. For the next 2 weeks, I thought Alexis was being particularly sanctimonious, but I didn't say anything, as it wasn't too out of character. The subject of women's sports came up during lunch, and she made a snide comment along the lines of "people like OP, ruin them for everyone else." I'm immediately confused. I've never been athletically inclined at any age, so I ask, "Do you mean tall people?" "No, women that are still biologically men," she says with a glare. At the time, this came out of left field. I am a cisgender woman. While I am still a tomboy in my interests, I am very physically feminine presenting. I said, okay, 1, there's nothing wrong with being transgender. 2, I am not transgender. Why would you even say that? "You can't fool me. I saw you come out of the bathroom and the toilet seat was up!" I stared in disbelief, as she seemed convinced this was the biggest gotcha moment. She couldn't even hide her smug smile. I squatted, Alexis. The energy of the room was getting very awkward, so I decided to make a joke. "Are you telling me that you pack your bare ass on the toilet seat in public restrooms?" She turned bright red. Apparently she did, because she started muttering something about not being weird before bursting into tears and leaving the room. My coworkers think it was rude of me to quote-unquote expose her like that, but I don't think I did anything wrong for trying to defuse a situation she put herself in. Am I the asshole? Edit. I'd like to address a few things. 1. A lot of you mentioned going to HR. I wasn't going to, because I thought I might get in trouble too. But if I had been trans, this story could have ended very differently. I'm going to arrange a meeting. 2. I hear you all loud and clear about squatting versus sitting. Unfortunately, I was diagnosed with OCD in the height of the pandemic, and many of my delusions are centered around germs and contamination. I'm gonna work on that, but sitting may not be in my future. At the very least, I'm going to look into pelvic floor exercises, so I don't end up incontinent at 40. 3. A lot of you think this is fake, and considering that the majority of shit on Reddit never happened, I don't blame you. I was a professional fiction writer for a while, and I try to make what I write at least a little bit interesting to read, so my style may be throwing you off. If I did make this up, I probably would have had at least one coworker in solidarity with me, and I don't know, maybe I did volleyball in high school. I'm a very lame protagonist. Well, first of all, your colleagues think you exposed her? I was under the impression she tried to expose you, except there was nothing to expose. She assumed OP was trans, based on a toilet seat of all things, and decided to out her. Which is not some little mischief. If OP was actually trans, that could have seriously hurt her well-being, career, and maybe even physical safety, depending on the location and the company. And OP wasn't the one who started the bathroom conversation. Alexis walked right into it by putting OP in the position where she had to explain her bathroom habits. Instant karma. Besides, OP's joke wasn't even cruel or ill-intentioned. She just wanted to break the tension. Now, let's be real. Sitting your bare ass on a public toilet is unhinged. I'm also a biological woman, and I have strong feelings about this. I pee standing, even at home. Because I'm anxious about the germs and also butt bumping by proxy. Probably shouldn't think about it in those terms, but that's what it is. Sorry if I've just ruined your life. So what I'm trying to say is, this is wild that someone could see their ass on a bug factory and think nothing of it. So OP is definitely not the asshole. She did nothing wrong here, and hey, maybe she even did Alexis a favor and saved her some nasty infection in the future. Maybe this Alexis didn't realize most people don't sit on public toilets, and hopefully she'll change her habits. As for her logic, I don't think that's gonna change. Reddit also said not the asshole, and here are some comments. So she can't handle everyone knowing she's transphobic, but can't handle people knowing she sits when she pees? Not the asshole. Why would any woman choose to pee like this when a toilet had just been cleaned and disinfected? Piss and piss water splashing up from the toilet because you're hovering higher than you would sit down. This really doesn't make any sense. Just because it has been cleaned doesn't mean it's clean. I know it sounds stupid, but someone just touched it, okay? Okay, it was touched by people. I don't want to sit on it. Someone responds to that, fortunately, more coherently than I did. I'm really confused. I know a lot of girls who do this, especially when they go out to the club. They don't want to sit on the seat if they're forced to go in the subway, restrooms, or someplace that's dirty. I'm not sure why this is so fantastical. Edit to add, many people are saying hovering causes drips and makes it gross for the next person, etc. If you don't wipe after urinating, there will be drips in many cases. Whether you sit or squat, the issue isn't how you pee when it comes to drips. The issue is being an inconsiderate person and not wiping the seat after you use it. If you see you left any kind of body fluid on the seat, use toilet paper and clean it off. If you think sitting on a toilet exempts you from leaving drips behind and wiping the seat, you're greatly mistaken. Serious note, people mentioning peeing on the floor or the wall while hovering, I'd recommend seeing a professional. Your urine stream shouldn't be so wild it's hitting a wall. Okay, I'm scared. I'm scared by the size of that debate. I'm not gonna read that. This shouldn't be such a hot topic, but it is, apparently. There's back and forth and back and forth. Everyone hates each other. Let's get back to the story. Not the asshole. This woman tried to out someone she considered transgender, not fully understanding how dangerous that can be. HR, right freaking now. Someone says, OP, the squat and hover is disgusting. It is one of the main reasons the ladies' restroom is actually dirtier than the men's. Now that that's out of the way, you're not the asshole. Your coworker attempted to out you for some reason, and your return fire was jokingly acting like sitting without a toilet doily is abnormal. You didn't make her cry, she made herself cry. She chose to cry. If your coworkers even mention or reference it again, remind them that intentionally outing someone without their consent is generally considered to be quite rude, even if she was acting on incorrect information. Perhaps even more so. Someone replies, I have never understood this. It's the back of your thighs, for fuck's sake. Who's rubbing their actual crack on a toilet seat? If everyone just sat like a damn normal human being, none of this would even be a thing. I disagree, but that's funny. And to answer that, I'm not a normal human being. Why would I sit like a normal human being? And what's wrong with wanting to protect my thighs? Okay, honestly, I don't want to discuss my toilet habits any more than I already did. I hate the hoverers with a passion! Oh no! Okay, for your information, I don't leave drips, just to be clear. Not the asshole for what you said, but totally the asshole for being a squatter. The cleaning crew had just cleaned. You think you're going to get butt cooties or something from a small office bathroom? If everyone packed their butt properly, there'd never be a dirty seat. Okay, y'all are very funny, but I don't like this. I'm gonna get cancelled after this video for being a hoverer. Thanks for expanding my vocabulary. Well, this is it for this episode. Drop a comment if you want to let me know how you pee, and see you in the next one.